Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting for Monday, March the 11th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Just a reminder for all participants that this meeting will be recorded for public access and broadcast. With that, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda for this evening? Moved by Deputy Mayor Gallant, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Reminded. Motion carried. With that, let's move on to, that was, sorry, that was for the February 12th minutes from 2024.
No, you just didn't get that.
Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, sorry. Let's move on to the regular counts with the conflict of interest declarations, which we have had one councillor, two councillors fill in declarations and pass them into the clerk. With that, we will then move on to the adoption of the minutes. And item number one, regular council meeting of February 12th, 2024. It's moved by Councillor Colwell, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Reminded, motion carried. With that, item number two, under adoption of the minutes, the committee of the whole meeting from February the 26th, 2024. Moved by Councillor Thorne, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gallant. Questions to the motion? Questions to the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Reminded, motion carried. Moving on to item number five, consent agenda, and everybody will receive those items in your package. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda items? Moved by Deputy Mayor Gallant, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Very minded. Motion carried. Moving on to item number six, public and administrative presentations. Nothing to report. Moving on to item number seven, reports and recommendations from committee and private meetings. Number one, a recommendation from close from June the 12th, 2023, as well as February the 12th, 2024.
Okay, so pursuant to the FCM UMNB conference attendance policy approved in February of 2024, council may appoint by resolution alternatives to attend the conference. The policy where Deputy Mayor Gallant attended in 2023, an invitation was circulated to members of council on February 16th. After confirming interest and availability, only Councillor Bannister is available. As such, as part of the consent agenda, this will include a resolution to confirm her attendance at the 2024 FCM conference.
I move that pursuant to the town's policy on attendance at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities FCM conference, Councillor Phyllis Bannister be appointed as the designate to attend in 2024 in lieu of the deputy mayor who attended in 2023.
Seconded by Councillor Colwell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gallant. Questions to the motion?
I'll just point out that was in the consent agenda and I read the wrong one. Moving right along.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was so lost.
I'm trying to think, and I'm like,
Going up and down and up.
I'm like, what page are we on?
All right, back to number one.
no,
Yeah.
so
So
we already approved that in the consent agenda.
already was approved. So let's move it on. Portions of,
You're double approved again.
I've double approved, exactly.
There we go.
Good job, because the flights are not refundable.
Okay, sorry about that. So as discussed in the closed session of June 12th, 2023, Salisbury Town Council directed administration to negotiate with landowners of property bearing purchase of portion of PID number 703-666-6638 for the purpose of acquiring lands adjacent to the Salisbury Highland Park. In 2023, a verbal agreement was made with the landowners to this effect. While the initial intent was to submit this purchase as part of the funding application, council felt it was appropriate to acquire the land for future park amenities and footprint, given the popularity and the potential of Highland Park As discussed and closed on February 12th, 2024, council directed administration to formally draft a legal agreement to purchase of the above-mentioned bid, given an additional partner being the Fundy Biosphere Region, who has committed approximately $39,300 towards the purchase of the cost and associated fees. Given the land will expand the park green space and promote the conservation of lands in alignment with the Biosphere region's work on the global biodiversity framework, specifically Action 12, that promoted human health, well-being, and connection to nature. This agreement has since been drafted by the town solicitor, included in your attachments, and the landowners have agreed to the terms. As noted, it will require the subdivision of lands, and therefore the formal transaction will not take place until such point as weather permits the survey work in the spring. So if council so wishes, there's a recommended motion.
I recommend that council authorize the clerk and the mayor to sign and execute the agreement of the purchase of sale for a portion of PID 703-66638 at a purchase price of $100,000 and authorize administration to execute the terms of the agreement.
Second.
So moved by Councilor Bannister, seconded by Councilor Thorne. Questions to the motion?
Closing date. Is there a reason why it's October?
Again, as written in the thing that, because it's been drafted, subdivision, there we go. As noted, it will require a subdivision land, and therefore the formal transaction will not take place until such point that the weather permits for us to actually do the surveying.
So the SRC
So-
has to rezone and do that, is that why?
No, so you have to survey the property because it has to be subdivided. So there's a
Right.
chunk of it coming out. That subdivision can't happen until they can see the ground well to do the subdivision.
Yeah, but that's April,
Well,
May.
which seems-
Yeah.
Well,
I think they're just giving themselves a little bit of
Given the
time.
Yeah, it could happen sooner.
They probably picked that date.
I'm not sure.
But she says in the agreement, like, or earlier, so it's probably
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
It's
Just
just a
in case.
formality in case it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
We also have to get the survey back and approved and done,
Yeah.
and, registered and all that.
So it could happen earlier.
that's right.
That's just a.
Yeah,
Is this also a play to kind of tie them up a little bit, so that way if they want to wait for funding requests that have been issued by the funding biosphere and is it Canadian Heritage and the Legacy Fund. So some of those things were still pending, I understand.
some of them would be still pending, but this approves to go ahead.
Yeah.
whether-
But that's why I
with or
wonder if
without it.
that closing date is to try to wait for
Yeah, I'm
advising.
hoping that you, yeah. could be.
Okay.
I really had nothing to do with it. I'm not sure.
Austin.
Okay, no additional questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Minded? Motion carried. Moving on to,
Number 2. So,
I need to remove myself from this
yes.
already. On the right page.
This is soccer.
Soccer's the
One
first
for
one,
And baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you resigned.
unless you want to wait,
Well, I'm president for a year, so I need to.
unless you want to wait till the soccer one's done, if you're not involved with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So reciprocal agreement, Salisbury Three Rivers Soccer Association. As discussed in the closed session on February 12th, 2024, Town Council directed administration to advise the newly formed Salisbury Three Rivers Soccer Association of the proposed reciprocal agreement between the town and the association. It is a strategic plan item for the town to facilitate the creation of a soccer association to further enhance and promote the soccer program in Salisbury. With the assistance of the town, a constitution of the board, for the board has been created and they have begun their work. The board has recently approved the reciprocal, basically signed. I have it with me, so it's ready for ratification if council so wishes.
I'll move that council authorize the mayor and clerk treasurer to sign the finalized reciprocal agreement between the town of Salisbury and the Salisbury Three Rivers Soccer Association.
moved by Councilor Thorne, seconded by Councilor Bannister. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Was that it? Was that it?
Question, Bill? Yeah, I think so.
Was that a yay, Joe?
Yep.
Contrary minded? So noted, motion carried. moving on to the next reciprocal.
And I'll note that Councillor Caldwell left the meeting at this time. So reciprocal agreement with the Petitcodiac Salisbury Minor Baseball Association. In 2023, council approved the reciprocal agreement between the town and the Petitcodiac Salisbury Minor Baseball Association. At that time, a user fee for field usage, groundskeeping, field grooming, etc., was determined for last year with the caveat that it would be reviewed in future years. In a closed session on February 12, 2024, council authorized the updated reciprocal, which only updates the annual fee and language around insurance indemnification. This reciprocal has been approved by the association's board to facilitate the process for future years. The motion also authorizes staff to work with the association for future fees and bringing any requests or opposition to the fees to council for decision rather than requiring an updating council annually. Again, this one has also been signed by the current president, so if council wishes to ratify the recommended motion.
I'll move that council authorize the mayor and the clerk treasurer to sign the finalized reciprocal agreement between the town of Salisbury and the Petitcodiac Salisbury Minor Baseball Association and authorize staff to negotiate future annual usage fees and bring any opposition to the proposed fees by staff to council if required for final decision.
Moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Dykstra. Questions to the motion?
Pretty straightforward.
No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now we will ask Councillor Caldwell to return.
So moving on to item number 8, reports from administration. Item 1, award of RFP Sols 2024-02, recreation facility feasibility study.
So on February 2nd, 2024, the town issued proposals for SALS 2024-02 by invite to consultants solicited to undertake the feasibility study for an indoor recreation facility. This RFP was issued by invitation only. Council received a list of those who were invited. To complete the study, a strategic plan action item under the community and quality of life pillar. The town has $60,000 budgeted in 2024 operational budget for this work. An application has also been submitted to the Regional Development Corporation, or the RDC, to cover 40% of the cost. If successful, this means that the town's contribution will be approximately $27,700 net HST, and with 40% being covered by RDC. I don't know if anybody wants to discuss the scope of the work, but if council wish to move ahead, they can ratify the recommended motion.
I'll move that council award RFP Sols 2024-02, a feasible study for an indoor recreational facility to Trace Planning and Design to the amount of $43,400, exclusive of HST, and authorize the mayor clerk to sign and execute an agreement with RDC if successful, if the funding application so moved.
Moved by Councillor Dykstra, seconded by Councillor Colwell. Questions to the motion?
My only question is.
No bidding.
Yeah, that's my concern. I don't like having only one bid. And where it was by invite only, if we weren't getting other bids, then was there not someone else that could have been approached to invite to do the proposal?
I'd argue it has to be tabled just to find other bids, because there's no way that's competitive.
What's the rule in the procurement about invite only? Are we allowed to do that? I don't understand when we're allowed to do that. When we're allowed to do invite only bids.
Depends on the price, right?
Right.
Yeah, so depending on the price of the contract. Or the
If it's
vendor,
less than probably
it's less than
50 or whatever it is.
It's 100 and-
I don't have an issue with an invite only. I have an issue with there only being one price and nothing to compare it to. So I
Yeah.
would like to see, you know,
Cause they're writing on crayons and passing it in, like.
Yeah.
There's no way to know what you're getting for that.
My only comment on that, which I think is a valid point, is if they did the outreach for us, they did, right? The community,
Mhm.
we might be starting at square one with somebody else and it might cost us more in the long run.
But we don't know that.
we don't know that
No, we
because there's
don't.
not another, yeah.
That's why I
So,
don't say reject it, just
Yeah.
table it.
yeah,
We need more information.
well, it would be nice to.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing is when the closing date was coming and there was still only one, was there a reason, Diane, that there were no other contenders or?
Well, typically you just put it out there for board, you give them a closing date and you see what you get, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't think that, I mean, we've had this before, just maybe not such a large project, but you only get one price and you go with that one price. But
How many weeks did we give them to reply?
It's at least 2 weeks, I think, usually online. I'd have to go back and check the
It
dates.
says it was given on February 2nd, so
Yeah.
when were they, so
That
they
was
would have had to
closed.
have it in 2 weeks after, is you're saying?
Yeah,
I mean, is there any value of going out and just
There may not be
put it out
that
there
much.
for another 2 weeks and asking if somebody else would like, if we could get another bid, at least that way we can say we've gone out and opened it up and we still didn't get anything.
Take
For
the invitation
optics, it's really, it's more due diligence thing that we do have to show due diligence here.
How many do we invite?
Four.
Four.
So one of them was
busy.
unable to, yeah, so conflict. The other one didn't respond at all. And the other one said, inquired in 2023 on their interest in this work, although this portion of the project would not be a project that they would undertake. So they said they wouldn't do it either. So there's, of four of them, only one answered that they could do it, one answered that they wouldn't do it, and one answered that they couldn't because of it. So I mean,
Take the invitation off and open it a little wider. That's the only reason to me.
So aspects to that, we would have to do the motion to, we would have to have a second motion
well, if the motion
to.
doesn't
direction,
pass,
right, to
you're
give
gonna
direction to it.
basically
But can we table this? Like, what is the procedure to table
have
this
to
to make
make
a
a
decision
New
later?
motion.
make a new motion to table it.
It'd have to be a friendly amendment.
We'll need to make a decision on going out to tender at another meeting, right?
Yeah.
So we should
Can we not
just-
make that now?
We could, that's the point, is if we're gonna do that, I would rather do it now than.
I'd say let's do let's do a redirect, yeah.
Be a friendly amendment.
We didn't make this motion yet, did we?
You made
Yes,
the motion.
you
but
made the
you're
motion.
discussion motion, But you can make a motion to table the motion and then come back out of that. But if you're gonna table the motion,
I guess I have a different question. It supports this, but my question would be like, why those four? And was it because they were the four that were recommended by?
and I
Yeah.
don't think there's a whole lot of people that,
Yeah, I don't think
there's not that many
I think they were
options.
the four that traditionally are the best.
Cause like
Yeah.
RC Strategies isn't even local, but
No,
Right.
they're-
and-
so like, I don't think there's a lot of local options.
There's not, and that's
If
the.
we, if we delay it today, not that we don't have, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but if we delay it today, if this was who was recommended, we're gonna delay it and go back to the same people or pick people that aren't recommended. We also have a public consultation scheduled and already with Trace next week.
Yeah.
That we'd have to
For
cancel.
this,
No.
That's different.
But they're, like, it's part of it.
I guess
it's also
the
trying
thing-
to align it
yeah.
with the, master plan.
Yeah.
Because we did approve going forward with them at the bidding time, at the time that it was sent out to the four, correct?
No, we approved that we were gonna go forward with this study.
The other thing too is, I think we also have to bear in mind is if there is someone else and they do come in cheaper, that doesn't mean that we're gonna choose them anyway. Yes, I mean, because if they don't have, surely we want to have somebody who we have confidence in will do the job. And I'm not here to speak confidently about any of them because I don't know. But as part of the process, we have to certainly get some sort of indication that, whoever the other one is somebody that's done this before. They've got some success with it. They've got some history, so on and so forth. And if we're confident we'll find somebody like that, we should go out. But if you know, like I said, it's just because the price might come in lower doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to go with them.
So, and this RFP is closed now, so it's not a matter of just reopening the existing RFP, we have to issue a new one. Which means that we may or may not get another response for
From
that same
this
price,
person.
for that same.
Yeah.
I would hope that we would, but
Depends if they win another job in the meantime.
For me, I guess it would be, my point is it would be easier for me to decide today whether to go with it or not if I knew that this was recommended by staff and this is why these four were chosen and why nobody else. If that
Yeah,
is,
the invite only alone is just why.
Right, they were chosen by staff as the
To
selected,
invite, yeah.
so they were the preferred options for staff. Which. I
if we
personally-
would have had six preferred, would we have gone to six or is four the max?
It's not necessarily
think
that.
so. I think to Council Thorne's point, I think it's a limited space on what
Mhm.
companies do and.
It's a little
I-
concerning, to be honest with you, that there aren't that many people. I just a thought of mine. It is a little concerning that there aren't a lot of people who are in this game. Because, you know, you hope that whatever it is you get, you can have a lot of confidence in.
Well, I'm not questioning anybody's ability. I just don't know if that price is competitive or if it's out of whack. I don't have, there's no comparison to make a decision, in my opinion.
That's the tough part. I trust
Yeah.
that staff made the right decision on who they went to. The fact that we have one, that's the result and I'm okay with it, but
Yeah.
considering feasibility study prices lately, that seems like a reasonable amount. I don't know.
I can always speak to the conversations I had with the clerk's office around the selected, where they send up to the companies they have
Yeah.
confidence in. Those were the companies they had confidence in to be able to hit the ground running. I think, I apologize, can't remember which counselor talked about maybe it was you, Counselor Cobble, around understanding the community as well and understanding that actually could give us a little bit of benefit around certain things. So.
it is tough where there's no benchmark, but at the same time.
Does anyone know how many feasibility studies have been done for recreational facilities over the years?
For Salisbury?
Last one was 16, 17 years ago.
There's one before that.
I was like, the last
My
one,
mom worked on one of them.
yeah. Maybe it was longer than that. There's the binder still in the other room.
That's a tricky one, but I
Mhm.
think I would,
So I mean,
mean,
I think we have
you need to put it to a vote.
motion to put forward. We'll have to vote.
yeah. I mean, I have confidence that
Yeah, I'm
the
gonna
CAO would have.
call for a vote unless there's additional questions.
I'm just gonna point out also that this kind of, there's a second part to the recommendation that we're authorizing the clerk and mayor to sign and execute an agreement with RDC if we are successful.
Right, which is.
So-
it's 2/3.
It's 40%.
Approximately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that.
So if you're not gonna award it, maybe there should also be another motion to say we can still apply for the funding and possibly sign the agreement if we get the funding. I don't,
What is
But
that?
you can't get the funding if
Not
council
yet.
hasn't approved the study though, right?
I don't know.
I
That might be,
don't think you'd be.
that might be part of the reason
I
why
would say that's probably part of the.
Yeah.
Application.
a lot of them
process.
are like that.
And the 43,000 does not include the funding, or is that our portion after funding?
That's the full cost without the funding.
27,000 is our cost
Right.
after the funding.
Okay,
Is there any way we can table this till Austin's back so we get some more information?
I think we have to vote on
Next
it.
year, and we first, no funding.
Oops, we forgot.
That doesn't work very well.
Do we do that and have a special meeting for that motion later this
We
week?
have to vote on the current motion, I think, first.
Is
Yes, we have to vote on the current motion and then.
But you could table it for further information and clarification. And then that would be the only other option would be to have another meeting.
So
Yeah.
tabling is basically no decision made now,
Yeah.
and we can address it
Yeah.
at the next
A future
That would be-
date.
special meeting. or
Yeah.
next meeting.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Do that.
So you'd have to make, someone would have to make a motion.
It's a motion
The
to
motion
table the
to
current.
table an item.
Okay, I'll move it.
We have to
Yeah.
vote on the first.
I'll second the table.
No,
We
you're
have a
voting
motion
on
to
table.
table it,
So we don't have to vote on it.
so we don't have to vote on it.
And I'm gonna second the motion
Questions to that motion?
So we're tabling.
to get more information.
Can we put a timeline on the table? Like this will need to happen pretty fast, I think.
When's Austin back?
This week.
Like you're shifting timeline within the week. Keeping in mind that whoever's going to be awarded this contract, they could accept other bids if they know.
Hmm.
Or other contracts.
That's a risk I'm willing to take.
Well, it's not like we're putting a hole in the ground anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we can't, I don't see any
No, what
need
I'm
to
saying
rush
is
this,
we
guys.
have
Like,
to
we need to
obviously-
make sure that we do our due
Right, so
diligence
what I'm
here.
indicating is we need to make a decision fairly quickly so that we don't lose out on the one bid. that we
Yeah.
have, that's all.
So the motion is to table the motion to get more clarification.
And special.
And make a decision at next council meeting or special meeting.
If there's a
I don't know,
risk, if it's felt there's a risk.
Rob, are there another, I'm sure you guys have already thought of this, but I'll just ask the question. Are there not any support that we can get from the Regional Service Commission? I'm sure there must be stuff
Yeah.
that has gone on or will go on, that they might be able to provide us with other options, or maybe they
Well-
can give us ideas to whether this cost is reasonable or not.
Well,
In the
and
case of the service commission, they're actually
We're
leveraging one of the
losing one of the
proponents that did not bid.
Yeah.
Again, I would, like,
So is that RC Strategies?
I don't know, can you ask if
They're
it's still a
delightful.
reasonable price?
But why, yeah,
Maybe
They
they
think
might
you
not
have
bid.
I think you have to go back to the February 2nd meeting, when you discussed the reasons why we would go ahead with our own, not necessarily relying on the regional commission's strategies and
Mhm.
feasibility. And so council had decided at that time to do their own for
And
this
then
area
make sure we get it done prior to. so
as
we have-
early as possible and get it done so that you could proceed with funding opportunities and things like that.
Okay, so, no additional questions to the motion, all in favor,
I,
contrary minded?
Yeah.
I'm an A as well.
Paula and
Motion carried.
two.
Moving on to item number 2, amphitheater funding agreement.
So administration has submitted the application to the Canadian Heritage Legacy Fund for the purpose of constructing an amphitheater at Salisbury's Highland Park. This application remains pending approval, although continues to work through the process of Canadian Heritage. As a part of this work, administration has also submitted applications to ACOA and RDC for additional contributions towards the project. Both applications have been successful. The amphitheater is currently out to tender with the closing date of March the 28th. The town has the hope of awarding the tender insofar as all approvals are received shortly thereafter. Given the approval from both funding agencies, they have requested that we execute the agreement. The award of the work is subject to the approval of Canadian Heritage. In the event that the funders with approved agreements request a claim to be submitted in March, given this is the end of their fiscal year, authorizing the agreement will enable staff to do so. In the event that the project is not successful this year with the funding from Canadian Heritage, it will be applied towards the work when carried over as the town pursues other funding options. If this is not possible, staff will communicate options with the funders. So there's 2 recommendations. If council so choose.
Is this done separately or? Okay. I move that council authorize the clerk and mayor to sign and affix the corporate seal on the funding agreement between the town of Salisbury and the Regional Development Corporation, RDC, for the purposes of constructing an amphitheater at Salisbury's Highland Park.
So go ahead. Here,
I move
Go
the
ahead.
can,
I just saw hands flying up everywhere.
Glant and Dykstra.
Any questions to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Second motion.
I move that council authorize the clerk and the mayor to sign and affix the corporate seal of the funding agreement between the town of Salisbury and the Atlantic Canadian Opportunities Agency, ACOA, ACOA, for the purposes of constructing an amphitheater at the Salisbury's Highland Park.
Moved by Councillor Bannister, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions to the motion? Questions to the motion? All in favor?
Right.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
This is a massive win.
Yes, it is.
What a great win.
Moving on to item number 9, bylaws. This evening, nothing for close tonight. Item number 11, mayor and councillor statements. I have nothing to state. Councillors? Nothing for statements or inquiries. Moving on to item number 12, notice of motions and resolutions. Item number 1, appointment to volunteer awards committee.
So at the last meeting, council appointed, some of the volunteers, but pursuant to the town's procedure bylaw, the town has the ability to strike committees and council. This appointment was further to those made on February council meeting. So, Skylar Oblinus was approached as he was the recipient of the, Youth Volunteer of the Year recipient in 2023. And it is our recommendation that, council appoint him as well, if they so choose.
I'll move that Skylar Oblinus be appointed to the Salisbury Volunteer Awards Committee.
By Councillor Thorne, seconded by Councillor Colwell. Questions to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Move on to item number 2, regional waste collection contract opt-in.
I'm going to step out for this.
This is a long one, that's what you're doing.
Sorry, guys. Read it. You're on your-
Yeah.
We'll let the record show that Councillor Thorne removed herself from the meeting due to conflict. And as discussed at the Committee of the Whole on February 26, 2024, Salisbury Town Council has directed staff to inform the Southeast Regional Services Commission, or ECO 360, of their intent to opt in to the regional waste collection model. This would see a number of municipal entities in the Southeast. This would see a number of municipal entities in the Southeast have a shared waste collection contract tendered by administered by the Regional Services Commission in attempt to encourage competitive pricing and streamlining waste collection contracts. In the case of Salisbury, the 4 subunits remain under a contract with the provincial government. However, they have provided notice that they will be canceling this contract as of November 4th, 2024. The contracts for the former village expire as of December 31st, 2023. In the event that council authorizes ECO 360 to tender this contract, it will be awarded at an eventual meeting of the Southeast Regional Service Commission Board of Directors, comprised of mayors in the Southeast. At a Committee of the Whole, council asked about terms of the agreement and options to opt out. The agreement is likely to be a 3-year with a 2-year extension option, and they are also working to integrate opt-out language, including if there are future changes in light of the extended producer responsibility or the EPR program, in addition to those requested by municipalities. There's a recommendation or a recommended motion or resolution if council so chooses.
I will move that council pass the following resolution, whereas the provincial solid waste collection contracts affecting the former LSD subunits in the town of Salisbury will be terminated effective November 3rd, 2024, as confirmed by the government of New Brunswick in a letter dated February 20th, 2024. Whereas the Southeast Regional Service Commission, SERC, SC, or ECO 360 are looking at the possibility of implementing a regional solid waste collection program. Whereas the town of Salisbury is required to offer this service, whether as a regional contract, a municipal specific contract, effective November 4th, 2024, for former LSDs and January 1st, 2025 for the former village subunit. Be it resolved, the council provide the SERSC their intent and willingness to opt in to a regional solid waste collection model to be managed by Eco360 effective February 1st, 2025 or earlier. And be it further resolved, the council approach the SERSC for Eco360 to provide assistance in contracting a solid waste collection provider for the former LSD subunits in the town of Salisbury from November 2024 until a regional solid waste collection is implemented, and direct administration to negotiate a partial extension as permitted 2025 until a regional contract is implemented for the former village subunit. So moved.
Moved by Councilor Dykstra. And all at
Good
once.
job.
Good job.
Good job.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Glant. Questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. We can invite Pastor going back in.
That was my fault.
Yeah.
You actually kept talking. You were able to still take the breath and keep talking at the same time.
Those are dramatic pauses.
All right. Moving on to item number 3, designation municipal surplus lands.
So at the February 12th regular council meeting, Salisbury Town Council approved the municipal surplus land and land acquisition policy. At this same meeting, in the closed session, council discussed a portion of municipal owned land being a portion of land bearing PID 00818807 behind where the fire hall will be constructed this year. Council agreed to direct staff to prepare an expression of interest pursuant to the above mentioned policy. And again, there's a recommendation from council switch members.
It looks long.
I move that council designate a portion of the PID 00818807 as municipal surplus land for the sole purpose of issuing an expression of interest to solicit proposals for interested vendors to express interest in developing the land for residential purposes. Pursuant to the town's municipal surplus land and land acquisition policy, in the event of a proponent selected by council, council also directs staff to bring an agreement with terms, conditions, and stipulations related to the transaction to council for ratification at a future public council meeting, which shall only occur in the event of a proposal selected by council. In the event that no selection submission is chosen by council, the designation of these lands as surplus lands shall be null and void until such a point that another resolution is passed designating the lands as surplus.
By Councilor Bannister, seconded by Councilor Dykstra. Questions to the motion? Nope. No questions to the motion. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 4, fire truck debenture resolution.
Okay, on June 21st, 2023, Salisbury received ministerial approval for an $800,000 debenture for protective services for a term not to exceed 15 years for the purchase of a new fire truck. This amount was required to ensure that enough funding would be available to award the tender. Ministerial approval has been used to obtain interim financing until long-term financing can be arranged with the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation. Attached, you guys will see the application along with the motion that we fill out to send in when we're requesting the long-term financing. Applications for financing are only available in the spring and the fall of each year. The request for a debenture funding for this new fire truck is of the actual amount net HST, not the full 800,000. Again, because we had to kind of guess at a price that we didn't know what the tenders were going to come in at, so we wanted to make sure we had enough approval to award the tender when it did come in. So there is a recommendation to make that motion, and we will submit it as soon as we can.
So I'll move, be it resolved that the clerk and or treasurer and or mayor be authorized to issue and sell to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation, a local government of Salisbury debenture in the principal amount of $679,000 on such terms and conditions as are recommended by the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation. And be it resolved that the local government of Salisbury agree to issue post-dated checks payable to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation as and when they are requested in payment of principal and interest charges on the above debenture.
Second.
By Councillor Colwell, seconded by Councillor Thorne. Questions for the motion?
Was there any transitional funds that were able to be utilized for this? Because of the original intent
Because of the delay?
delaying order some of the stuff.
It was put forward as a case.
Transitional funds wasn't for purchasing, it was for like the changing to a local government.
So totally agree where you're coming from.
It was added though,
Yeah.
right? Well, there were some things added to the letter. They just might not have
Yeah,
refunded
I
us.
mean, essentially just for the, Councillor Dexter's point to one that's been a bone of contention for many of us and the delays that took place because of municipal reform. This definitely cost our municipality significant amounts of money.
Well, I'm assuming-
because of the delay.
Handy to $100,000,
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. But
just this one thing.
this one thing, the fire have done a lot of it, but it's brought forward. It'll be something we continue to bring up.
Deaf ears.
No additional comments or questions for the motion. All in favor? Motion carried. With that, can I have,
So moved.
I already said, I just.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, so moved by Councillor Thorne, something like everybody. Councillor Colwell. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Everyone have a lovely evening.